Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy Nitsa coming back with another bullseye of a vocal tutorial here today. I got one of my favorite rappers that I really like a lot, ICEWEAR VEZZO vocal chain. So if you guys do have any more suggestions for any different type of artists that y'all want me to break down that vocal sauce, drop it down below. I'm more than happy to get to it. Let's listen to this right away, this deep, dark, gritty, aggressive trap sound that them boys got going on right now. So let's listen to it right away.
I've been turned geek for like 2 days, so I can't say much. She gon' let me fuck, cause on the way, ho, I can't pay none. I just bought 2 riches in 1 chain, cost like 8 son. Switching lanes, I be stay to stage like Soleil on a stick on me. Bitch, I got that tool, I'm tryna fit some. Gang members don't call me be broke, I ain't your big brother. On the road, finna catch some play just like I'm hitchhiking. He switching sides, get that boy some shoes, cause they be flip-flopping. Baby, chop him up, hang with my test, so I got big jogging. Jerry dancing, they pull out their phone just like I'm TikToking. She a freaky, I pull down my pants, she sucked the lint on me. Hit her on the car, she got good brain, that's a big nugget. Just for me to walk and show my chain, I need a 50. We got yellow.
Okay, so as you guys can hear, that's what we got right there. Let's go into the chain right now. Let's listen to it, what it sounded like with and without.
I've been turned geek for like 2 days, so I can't say much. She gon' let me fuck, cause on the way, ho, I can't pay none. I just bought 2 riches in 1 chain, cost like 8 son. Switching lanes, I be stay to stage like Soleil on a stick on me. Bitch, I got that tool, I'm tryna fit some. Gang members don't call me be broke, I ain't your big brother. On the road, finna catch some play just like I'm hitchhiking. He switching sides, get that boy some shoes, cause they be flip-flopping. Baby, chop him up, hang with my test, so I got.
Alright, so as you guys can hear, that's what we got right there. Very first thing I wanted to talk about is the EQ. So I was looking at the EQ and in this situation, kind of like a gas station in the beginning, because it's going to help you along your journey of like mixing the whole song, right? So my vision in my head that I had when I was making this ICEWEAR VEZZO vocal chain, this darkness, the grittiness. You know, I paid attention to his vocal and I heard a little croak, I need 250. So that's why I wasn't very aggressive with the filtering on the low end, because his voice isn't deep anyways, but I do understand that I do have a little bit of, you know, a gold mine with that little, I need 250 inside of his voice. So I took advantage of that, right? I wasn't too aggressive with my low shelf. So usually I like to go between like a bell and the low shelf. So the low shelf kind of felt too aggressive. Like it was kind of attacking too much of that, you know, important part of his vocal. So I picked the bell over it. And then the most important thing, like I said, is I see it like a gas station. Like each EQ point is kind of like, you know, different types of fuel that I want. Do I want a little bit of diesel, a little bit of unleaded or unleaded, right? Because all of these different EQ portions of the spectrum, it's just going to help me contribute to like juicing up my engine, which is the vocal. So I always try to make sure that when I'm doing my EQ, I'm very delicate in the beginning. I'm just trying to understand where everything is sitting at. And that's what I was going with this vocal, something that's deep, and something that's raw that people can really like relate to, the mud, you know, trying to make the music match like the atmosphere. And the next thing that we got is the R comp. I'm using a little bit of low level compression with the vocal right here, just because I kind of wanted to let more of the signal go through, right? So when you use a lighter ratio, more of the stuff will go through. Usually a heavier ratio, as soon as it kind of like sees the peak, it will attack it, right? And with the lower level, it lets more of the signal come through. So pay attention. I did that, and I used the fast attack and the fast release just as a way to give the vocal a little bit of presence with that R comp.
I've been turned geek for like 2 days, so I can't say much. She gon' let me fuck, cause on the way, ho, I can't pay none. I just bought 2 riches in 1 chain, cost like 8 son. Switching lanes, I be stay to stage like Soleil on a stick on me. Bitch, I got that tool, I'm tryna fit some. Gang members don't call me be broke, I ain't your big brother. On the road, finna catch some play just like I'm hitchhiking.
So because I'm using this low threshold type of compression, that low level compression, it's really a good way to just pull that vocal forward. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for power and anchor and the ICEWEAR VEZZO vocal, because I'm already standing like his vocal is not too deep, right? He's kind of got a vocal that's more mid-range than anything. and I need a way to just pull it up front. And he didn't even do no ad-libs in the song too, so that's something to always consider as well. Next thing that we got right here is a C6. So I'm vibing a lot with the C6 compared to the C4 right now because it has these two free floating bands. And now if you bypass this and this one, it will turn into a regular C4. So the most important thing for me is what I use right here is those floating bands, and I made the most narrow Q to go after that mid-range. You know, I heard a little resonant frequency, I honed it in with this. So I heard something that was just kind of bothering me in the mid-range. I want to, you know, sometimes you got to take something away from a vocal that helps shine a light on the other stuff. So I like the croak in his vocal a lot. So, you know, what I did is rather than trying to boost it, what I did is I actually did a little cut right there in that mid-range frequency that I didn't like, but I did it dynamically. So I'm not really messing with the overall broader picture of what I like. I'm not messing with his strengths. I'm only just going there and just making a small note to correct him, you know? So it's kind of like if I was writing something on a sheet of paper, right? I wrote the sentence the whole way, but then I'm just taking a little eraser to go in there and just notch out just one word and rewrite it again so that the whole sentence, which is kind of like the vocal, is perfect. And the same thing applies to the top. So a little dynamic EQ on the mid-range to get rid of that, you know, that nasaliness, and a little bit of this on the top, because there was definitely like a little type of sibilance, right? I'm using the C6 over the de-esser in the beginning because it lets me dial in my actual controls. I get to pick my attack and release versus where a regular de-esser, you wouldn't be able to do that. Then we have a CLA 76. Like I always say, you guys need to get your vocal in control even before going to something like the CLA 76 because it's very aggressive. So I got the 76 kind of rocking like an optical compressor, and I used Blackie because in the beginning I knew before I touched anything, I wanted to make this sound like the mud, the trenches, you know? Sometimes when the artist came out the mud, you got to use some mud out the vocal. So don't ever let nobody tell you got to roll off the lows and all of that stuff like that, because, you know, you can't make the song sound squeaky clean if that doesn't represent the environment that the artist grew up in. You know, the music got to match where the people stay at. So I also made that mental note in my head.
I've been turned geek for like 2 days, so I can't say much. She gon' let me fuck, cause on the way, ho, I can't pay none. I just bought 2 riches in 1 chain, cost like 8 son. Switching lanes, I be state to stage like Soleil on a stick on me. Bitch, I got that tool, I'm trying to fit some. Gang members don't call me be broke, I ain't your big brother. On the road, finna catch some plays just like.
So as you can see right there, 1176 can even be used in a very subtle way. I can't even say there's any peaks that it has to tame, and that's what I always try to talk about. If you guys use an optical compressor in the beginning, like how I recorded with my, you know, UAD interface, which you can do, right? What peaks do I have to tame? What peaks? So I don't understand how, you know, some people for years and years and years, you know, they built everything. I'm just trying to say that compression is just like a construction worker. That's the only thing it can do. It could just tame peaks. But no, not really, because if you use an optical compressor in the beginning, even if you don't print it down, you maybe just use like a 3A or a 2A, your vocal going to be looking like this, you know, the transient's going to come through and it's just going to level out everything for you, you know. So mostly after that, once you got it taken care of in the very beginning, you know, you use the slow compressor. All of the compression after that is really more for tonality. I just, you know, I feel like you are cutting yourself short if you only see a compressor as a way to tame peaks, because if you use an optical compressor or just a slow controlled compressor at the very beginning, before you start processing, you already in a winning situation. So you're not having to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. It's like how I said about the trip when you go to a gas station. Once you put in as much gas as you need for the long trip ahead, which is like mixing the vocal, you don't got to worry about nothing else after that. The thing that we have is the SSLG. I picked the SSLG over the E because it gave me that grunginess. I mean, just look at the plugin. It just looks more rough and rugged. The E is a little bit more brighter in my humblest opinion, but the G, it just gave me that dirt. It come in that out the mud type of vibe, you know? So let's listen.
I've been turned geek for like 2 days, so I can't say much. She gon' let me fuck, cause on the way, ho, I can't pay none. I just bought 2 riches in 1 chain, cost like 8 son. Switching lanes, I be state to stage like Soleil on a stick on me. Bitch, I got that tool, I'm trying to fit some. Gang members don't call me be broke, I ain't your big brother. On the road, finna catch some plays just like I'm hitchhiking, he switching sides.
So very important things I want to talk about the SSLG. First of all, out the gate is more grungier, so that's why before I even knew, you know, which one I was gonna use. I had that idea in my mind. I had a vision in my mind. Detroit, toughness, roughness, trap house. You know, we bumping, we booming, packs coming in. You feel me? I had that idea in my head. So really what I did is I was just trying to warm up his vocal. I was playing around with this low shelf and, you know, just trying to add some of that body, enhancing that croak. But then I leveled myself out and I used a little bit of a filter, understanding that the SSL channel filters, they have like a moderate to kind of like aggressive slope, you know. So I didn't have to roll off too much because I understand the slope of the filter. And then after that, I did boost a little bit of top of like a 0.5 dB. I wanted to sound big and massive like a space, like a trap house. That's what I was thinking in my head this whole time when I was mixing it. So sometimes you got to do that. You know, you pull up a picture on your phone and you look at it and you ask myself, does my mix look like what this thing is, right? And you can use that in a way to concentrate your creativity. That will definitely help you more than already having like a predetermined mindset as to how you're going to process the vocal. Just because somebody else said, oh, this is the only way the pros do it, you know, that might not necessarily work for every single song. I know what people want. People want that pristine, clarity, beautiful vocal, but that does not work on every single song, especially if you're recording people that are like from the street. I'm telling you from experience, especially when you record people from the streets, like you got to make the music sound like where we came from, because the music got to reflect the environment. So if you're making the vocal sound all pretty and crystal clear, like the streets, the people not going to feel it because it's not relatable to them. And I understood his flow was a little bit slow, so I also slowed down my release to give it that little bit of rocking effect. And next thing that we're going to go to is we're going to look at the Puig Child 670, which in this situation, I was looking for some of that tube grittiness. You know, I was trying to enhance what ICEWEAR VEZZO gave me with his vocal, which is a croak and not too much, you know, deepness, but still, you know, understanding that this is more of a mid-range focused vocal and using a plugin that's going to enhance the mid-range. I picked the 670.
I've been turned geek for like 2 days, so I can't say much. She gon' let me fuck, cause on the way, ho, I can't pay none. I just bought 2 riches in 1 chain, cost like 8 son. Switching lanes, I be stay to stage like Soleil on a stick on me. Bitch, I got that tool, I'm trying to fit some. Gang members don't call me be broke, I ain't your baby.
As you can hear right there, even the tube, it kind of gives it a little bit of air in a beautiful way. So sometimes, like I said, you can use a compressor to give you the same effect that an EQ would, but without getting the consequences of, you know, all that extra frequencies that are around it. You know, if you boost a bunch of 10K hertz, there is going to be some other things that are coming up, right? And the most important thing with me in this vocal was getting some distortion in there, some grittiness. You know, I knew I needed grittiness because I knew the artist and I understood where he came from. So that's what I did. I used a distortion pedal on my delay, and I had a clean delay and a dirty delay. And even on my reverb, I used a little bit of distortion. But with my reverb, I also used a sidechain compressor to keep my lead vocal in focus, pushing everything down. And my attack was a little bit different. Usually I use the fastest attack, but I wanted a little bit of the reverb to come in because I'm using a light ratio and I'm using a low, very, very low threshold. So I'm really just gathering more of that reverb, helping it just become more upfront and prominent and solid in this kind of like mix that we got going on right here. And we had a CLA 76 on Bluey to give me some energy. I needed some energy because he was so smooth, and I got it on all ratio. And so it's like the whole music has a little edge to it, you know? And then the 660, the preset I used is West Coast vocal. I don't know, but sometimes the Detroit artists, they kind of have the same like voice as some LA artists, you know, some California artists, some gangster type of rappers type of vibe. So I use West Coast vocal, and I was pushing it pretty hard. I used the time constant of 6, which gives me a multiple release stage. So the time constants are pretty amazing, and this is why I always recommend those analog plugins, because it's way harder to mess up a plugin like this versus like an advanced plugin like Fat Filter Pro C, where you got all these different buttons and all these different options that will, you know, kind of mess up or be overwhelming to somebody who's just starting out, driving those tubes, getting some more tube distortion. I'm not just using one thing to help me get my distortion, but I'm using a bunch of things gradually to just help build this collective hardness, this density, this bite, Detroit. The ad-libs, just pay attention to the ad-libs, nothing crazy, REQ. And I let a lot of that top come through because I was using a gate combo, a gate and a compressor hybrid baby combination to help the reverb, not the reverb, but help the ad-libs move and breathe.
I've been turned geek for like 2 days, so I can't say much. She gon' let me fuck, cause on the way, ho, I can't pay none. I just bought 2 riches in 1 chain, cost like 8 son. Switching lanes, I be state to stage like Soleil on a stick on me. Bitch, I got that tool, I'm tryna fit some. Gang members don't call me big broke, I ain't your big brother. On the road, finna catch some plays just like I'm hitchhiking.
Especially with that last ad-lib that you just heard, it sounded so sudden and so abrupt. So that's why I always talk about using the gate. And on the SSL, that gate just really enhanced those ad-libs because it's just like, whoa, where did that come from? It popped out in the blue, you know? So that's what I was going for. And of course, the EQ, you know, just rolling off everything, just helping it clear it out. I don't want my ad-libs to be stepping on my lead vocal. And 670 coming back in there again, pushing it very hard, more distortion, helping those ad-libs just have their own sense of texture. You know, the lead vocal, it had a feeling of moderate tube saturation, but with the 670, I'm driving it damn near into distortion with them tubes, a high input gain, the threshold.
I've been turned geek for like 2 days, so I can't say much. She gon' let me fuck, cause on the way, ho, I can't pay none. I just bought 2 riches in 1 chain, cost like 8 son. Switching lanes, I be state to stage like Soleil on a stick on me. Bitch, I got that tool, I'm tryna fit some. Gang members don't call me.
And you hear again, when I press space, that delay, you know, that grungy delay is what I got going on. That's my vibe. And parallel compression with the SSL channel, I felt so incredible to use that, a faster release because it is an ad-lib and I don't want that parallel compression to lag behind. And fast attack as well to take out some of that transient of the ad-lib. I've already got everything under control, so with my parallel compression, I was just, you know, just looking to use the SSLG as a little bit more of hardness, a little bit more of that grainy texture that is making me get that Detroit vibe. And I use this delay right here, the delay stomp. And another reason I used a lot of the guitar pedals right here is because they sound so great and they're so quick to use and the controls are just already there and very easy to use versus some other plugins which are more expensive. So when you're mixing, I'm always trying to catch a vibe, and that's why I'm always looking to use those plugins that don't have too many options because I'm just rolling. I'm not thinking. When you're mixing, you should never be thinking. Maybe in the beginning you do want to think, because you're just trying to establish yourself, but nah, after that, I'm catching a vibe and I'm going, and I used only 1 delay for some width, actually reverberating a little bit more of the harshness, so I did that on purpose. Don't let people tell you that, oh, you got to take out all of the harshness, because in a situation like this, I'm going to show you one more time. Listen to how sibilant the reverb is. Listen to how harsh the reverb is. I'm using the harshness to tell the listener, hey, this is separate from the lead vocal.
I've been turned geek for like 2 days, so I can't say much. She gon' let me fuck, cause on the way, ho, I can't pay none. I just bought 2 riches in 1 chain, cost like 8 son. Switching lanes, I be state to stage like Soleil on a stick on me. Bitch, I got.
Because it's actually reverberating a different part of the ad-libs, the vocals is reverberating more of the top, so it's giving it that nastiness. And I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. If you guys do want this template, check the link down below. Hope you guys were able to learn something. Just want to say thanks a lot. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.